We have a hot weekend coming. Hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us. Yes, finally a forecast that I think we'll get fewer complaints about. We've got a hot weekend on the way for many parts of New Zealand. In fact, we're heading up to 30 degrees in both islands. And if you fail to reach that mark, you're still very likely to be into the mid to late 20s. There are a few areas that aren't quite that warm. We'll try and cover all the bases. But let's kick off with the animated wind map. And as I've been saying for a while now, spring is all about winter slowly fading away and hints of summer slowly coming in. October is a very messy month. That's where we get a lot of wintry snaps. We get a lot of mix of warm and cold air that can produce thunderstorms and windy weather as well. And that's exactly what we've been seeing this month, and we're still getting it at the moment. But November tends to be more about high pressure. Can still be windy and spring-like, but we tend to get more hints of summer coming up and perhaps a few or less days of those more wintry ones. So let's try and make sense of what is going on at the moment. We've still got some colder weather coming into the lower South Island. Your airflow, Southern Ocean focused. But further north, there's another air pressure system here, another high, and that's encouraging a warmer airflow for the north of New Zealand. Now, it's still windy in some areas, and that's likely right through until we get to the weekend, but the temperatures are about to go up. So let's try and make sense of it. Let's kick off with Thursday, and the high consolidating out in the Tasman Sea, but it's still got this colder change to it thanks to this big low in the Southern Ocean. Now, Southland, you've had a rough wintry time lately. It's been pretty brutal at times for you, and certainly not one of your nicest Octobers. You've really been taking a shoulder for the rest of the country though, because it hasn't been that bad in other regions. Southland's been having a bit of a wintry time, but here's the good news. It does come to an end on Friday. On Thursday. We've still got windy weather around, a little bit windy on Thursday for the north of the country, but here is the good news. Friday, just mentioned it, that is when Southland does start to improve. Your temperatures lift up and your skies dry out. Further north, it is still a little bit windy. That wind tunnel through Auckland continues on, but those winds do ease by evening, and it's a mostly dry Friday, just a couple of showers. So let's get into the weekend now and see what is going on. Here is Saturday's setup. High pressure out to the west, subtropical airflow moving down into Australia's interior and then out and across New Zealand. This is why we're likely to be seeing temperatures reach the late 20s and potentially the early 30s. Now, if we had a setup like this in the middle of summer, this could be pushing New Zealand to 40 degrees if we were in summer. New Zealand's hottest weather and our record-breaking heat has come from a similar setup where you get a nor'wester out of Australia and straight to New Zealand. So we're getting to 30 here at the start of November. So we're just saying it's possible that if we had this set up in January or February, we'd be looking at much higher temperatures. And with Australia's big dry drought continuing, that is possible to put into the mix. So for Saturday though, let's go back to this weekend. 30 degrees likely inland, places like central Otago, Marlborough, maybe inland parts of Canterbury, even northern Southland will be into the late 20s. And in the North Island, Hawke's Bay, Gisborne, those areas into the late 20s, maybe 30. And inland parts of both islands, looking like you'll be into the mid to late 20s. Places like Taumarunui getting up around 26 or 27, and a similar story down around inland parts of Southland. So really, right across the country, it is looking warm, but not everyone has the heat. Some of the main centres, like Auckland, you've still just got a very faint sou'wester. It's a mild one, really, because it's coming out of the Tasman, but it's going to be just a little bit cooler for you, and Wellington as well, a little bit cooler on Saturday as a result of that southerly flow fading out. And on Sunday, it's a similar setup. We've still got the high in the same place. You've still got the subtropical and Australian winds mixing together. So a very similar day, still hot on Sunday and a little bit windy as well. And don't be fooled by the sou'west wind. That will affect some coastal areas a little bit, but inland, it is still really a nor'wester just turning around as a sou'wester. So a hot Sunday on the way for many places. And once we get to Monday, no real change. High pressures in charge to the north. We've got the warm to hot nor'westers coming down and windy around the South Island. That means dry and hot for many places. And inland parts of Otago next week, like, around Alexandra, you've got daytime highs almost consistently of around 26, 27, 28 degrees, which is remarkable because a week or two ago, it was colder with snow on the hills. So this is spring, and we're now looking like we're heading into the warmer side of it, But in saying that, still don't forget, it is spring, it's not summer, which means we can still get a cold wintry blast with snow and frost and hail in the month of November. But for now, we can park that idea and look forward to a hot weekend. That's all from me. For more details, go to ruralweather.co.nz to try and make sense of what this all means for where you live, work, and play. We'll see you again tomorrow.